Alright, so for today's video, we're using our PEMDAS skills, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally skills. Remember, P stands for parentheses, which means you go from the inside parentheses to the outside parentheses. After that, we have exponents, which is what the E stands for. After that, we have MD, which is multiply and divide. And when we multiply and divide, remember, we go from left to right or top to bottom. It depends. Like if we have 3 times 3 over, 9, you would do 3 times 3 first because it's on top. Then you would divide by 9. And then we have add or subtract, which is from left to right. Okay, so let's start with this first page here. Now, the first thing we're going to look at is our parentheses. So when we look at this parentheses, we have just a -2 inside, right? So what we're going to do is, if we have just a straight up number, like how we have just a straight up -2, we're going to drop the parentheses. So we're going to take everything else, rewrite it, and if we drop the parentheses, then we have -2. So we have 4 minus 5 minus -2. Something kind of weird's happening here. We have -2. When we have two negatives next to each other like that, it becomes positive. So let's rewrite this so it doesn't look as crazy. We have 4 minus 5 plus 2. Okay, so we got rid of parentheses. There's no exponents. So now we got to see if there's any multiplying, dividing. We don't have any multiplying and dividing. So now we add or subtract going from left to right. So from left to right, 4 minus 5 is -1. So now we have -1 plus 2. And -1 plus 2 gives us a +1. Look at that. Number 1 is 1. Ha! Number 2. 6 times 3 times -2. Now this -2 is inside of a parentheses with no work inside, so let's drop the parentheses. We don't need it. It's mostly showing you that this is a -2 and not a -2. Let's use words. Not -2. Okay? So it's a -2. That's what that parentheses is trying to indicate. So we have 6 times 3 times -2. So we have a bunch of multiplications. So that means we go from left to right. So 6 times 3 is 18. So now we have 18 times -2. 18 times -2. Well, we have a positive times a negative. So I know my answer is going to end up being negative. And 18 times 2 is 36. So it's a -36. Looking at number 3. Oh boy, howdy. Okay, let's get rid of the stuff that has parentheses around it to show us it's negative, but isn't a parentheses where we have to do work in. So the first parentheses we can get rid of is this one. So let's write -4. And then negative, we can get rid of this parentheses because it's just got a -1. So we got -1. We did not get rid of these parentheses because it's surrounding a couple of things. So let's put those back. And then next we have, so we have this 5 here, and it's not surrounded by parentheses on both sides right away. So that means I'm going to use the parentheses that is next to it. So we got 5 minus, but the 4, that -4 that's right here, that is surrounded by parentheses on both sides. So let's drop that extra pair. And then we don't want to get rid of this guy. This guy is part of this guy. They're partners in crime. Oops. Okay, that's not as scary looking. However, we got those double negatives next to each other, which means we got to change stuff to a positive. So let's rewrite this without all this extra hootenanny. Here we go. Okay, we can do this. We got 2 sets of parentheses, so we got to do the work in the parentheses. And since these parenthesize are separate, they're 2 separate entities, there's not one inside of the other, we can actually do a 2-for-1. We can do both parentheses at the same time for our next step. So what do you mean by that, Ms. Rowell? Well, I'm going to show you. So -4 plus 1 is a -3. That parentheses is done. This parentheses is 5 plus 4, which gives us 9. That's what I mean a 2 for 1. We can do both sets of parentheses at once. We can figure out their numbers inside. So last we have -3 and 9 with parentheses. Well, this indicates secret multiplication, right? Whenever you have parentheses, remember parentheses are another way to show multiplication. So -3 times 9 gives us not just a 27, but a -27 because we have a negative times a positive. I want you guys to try number 5 totally on your own. Let's look, I'm sorry, number 4 totally on your own. Let's try number 5 together. So, okay, we got some extra parentheses size happening. So let's look at this first number. We got 6 minus, then we have a parentheses here. But we don't see its partner in crime, right? Because parentheses are always partners in crime. We don't see its partner in crime right away, so we're going to drop that parentheses. This next set of parentheses, though, partner in crime is right next to it. It's holding in a -2, so we're just going to write the -2. Then there's a -3, then we have a minus sign, and then we have this parentheses, but its partner in crime is not surrounding the other side of the 6, so we're going to bring this parentheses down. And the 6 as well with that minus sign after it. All right. Then we have this parentheses with its partner in crime right on the other side of the -3. So we're going to get rid of that parentheses. These last two parentheses, their partner in crime is somewhere over there. So we are going to rewrite them because we don't know where their partners in crimes are. I mean, you might know, but for right now, let's pretend we don't know. Okay, so looking at this now, it's not as parenthesed up. I don't think these are words for parentheses. I'm just making it up. We have this parentheses and this parentheses. So there's its partner. Remember, we work from the inside out. So we got to do 6 minus -3. We got two negatives next to each other, which we know becomes positive. So really, we have 6 plus 3. And 6 plus 3, well, that gives us a 9. Everything else, we can drop down. But hold up, wait a minute. That red parentheses around the 9 is holding in just the 9. So we don't even need that parentheses anymore. So I hope you're writing in pencil. If not, it's going to make a boo-boo. All right, so now inside of our parentheses, we have a bunch of subtraction happening. So we got to go from left to right. So -2 minus 3 is a -5. Bring everything else down. Then we have -5 minus 9. Well, that gives us, I'm going to go over this direction. That's going to give us a -14. And then bring everything else with it. But hold up, that parentheses is now just around one number, so I don't really need it anymore. So we have 6 minus -14. Well, I have two minuses next to each other. So they become plus. So what's 6 plus 14? 20. All right. That is all we're going to do for today. So you had to do number 4 totally on your own. Good luck.